As we are all aware, the COVID virus is actually a sphere or a ball with multiple spikes, and these spike proteins, as we call them, they attach themselves to the mucosa or through the nose and the mouth. They enter into the respiratory tract. The beta and the delta variants of the COVID have been well understood, studied, and their immunology, their follow-up and complications have been well evaluated, and based upon that, the treatment, the vaccines all had been well developed. But now what has changed with the appearance of the Omicron variant of the COVID virus? Unfortunately, the Omicron variant has undergone nearly 52 mutations or 52 changes from the original beta and delta virus strains. In fact, the spike protein alone has undergone 30 mutations. It has undergone 30 changes. Now, what does this mean for a common human being? That how does he appreciate or how does he fear the newer variant of the COVID virus? The Omicron, because of these changes of nearly 30 on the spike proteins, will become slightly more difficult to detect. So you can get a false negative report in the COVID RT-PCR because the detection of certain genes, typically the S gene, can actually evade the test. So first thing is evasion of the test. Then second, can a patient who has already suffered from beta or delta strain or a patient who has already received the vaccine still have COVID? Yes, he can get infected with the Omicron variant of the COVID virus, meaning thereby there is evasion of the immunity that is being created either by the virus of infection or by the immunity that is created by the vaccine. So the virus actually tries to evade the immunity and infect a person who's either already had and recovered from COVID or who has received both doses of vaccine. So you are not protected even despite having either being infected or having received the vaccine. The most important part is that because of this variation in or the change in the nature of the COVID virus, the conventional treatment modalities also stand to be a failure. So the conventional monoclonal antibodies, which were actively being used for people who are at high risk, those who are either diabetics, elderly patients, patients on cancer, chemotherapy, or those who are on steroids or diabetics, those individuals were given monoclonal antibodies to prevent the disease from worsening. But unfortunately, that modality of treatment or that form of treatment is a failure for Omicron patients. Now, I'll tell you in very brief words about what happens if you don't take care of the COVID behavior or the COVID appropriate protocols. In the current state, the transmissibility of the Omicron strain, unfortunately, is nearly 500 times that of the beta or the delta strain. So, the Omicron spreads much more rapidly than the beta and the delta strains. And it will spread, as I told you, even in those patients who have received the vaccine and even in those patients who have had previous exposure to the COVID disease. But there's always a cherry on the cake. There is a good part of the story also. The disease, those people who are infected with the COVID Omicron strain, they do not suffer from so many complications. The complications arising out of the Omicron infected COVID patients are very minimal, easily manageable, and they are treatable by simple conventional therapy. They do not require very aggressive management. But only for your information, only for historical importance, the initial detection of the Omicron strain actually started in November 2021 from South Africa, from a place called Botswana. So that is where the whole story of Omicron started, and as we stand today, we are fearing the next wave to come in. So please be careful of following the COVID appropriate behavior, the social distancing, the hand wash, and please get yourself vaccinated, even though I am saying that you still have to maintain an adequate COVID approved behavior. Despite vaccination, you can still be infected with Omicron. Thank you.